What time of year is it? It's the Nationals! I'm going to be at the Nationals this weekend, as every one of you should be as well. The Nationals are in Florida, and it's the biggest chiropractic event in the world. And everyone's going to be there. I'm going to be at the Impact Inc. booth, Arthurson booth. Thank you for having me. I'm going to be at booth 213. If you want to come and see me, you want to get on the podcast, be an everyday superstar, ask me some questions, or I've just found out, I think they're going to let me sell some instruments for them. I don't work for Impact Inc., but I think they're going to let me sell some instruments for them. So if you want the next generation of adjusting tool, not your granddad's tool, not doing that one, we're talking about the next generation motion adjusting, 14 beats per second, then give me a call this weekend or drop me an email or come and see me at the booth, because I think they're going to let me sell. I'm not sure about that yet, but if enough people come, then it'll be okay. And they're going to let me do a discount because they usually pay the salespeople, and I'm not going to take that. So if you want to get rid of your granddad's adjusting tool, then come and see us. We've got motion adjusting, 14 beats per second, really vast increase in range of motion. I can show you how to do it. I teach on it. I'll show you how to do it at the booth. Come and have a look. We'll have a play together and we'll show you the change you can make. But I think they are going to let me sell. I'm not sure about this, but if enough people turn up, then we'll be okay. And what we're going to do is I'm going to give you discounts and everything they'll let me do right to the bone, and give you my course and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to Arthur Stim, the next generation of adjusting tool, then just pop to the booth 213 at the Florida convention, or drop me an email at paul@instantchiro.com. Just for this weekend, that's all I'm going to be able to do, guys. I did try and sell them for them before, and they kind of told me off. So they're letting me do it this time. I think let's get a deal going and let's get you guys having the stuff. So just ask for me, and that's great. If not, I'll see you at the booth. We'll talk chiropractic and I'll get you on camera and we'll just see how the convention's going. It's fantastic. But first of all, we have a thing today, and I'm a big believer in coincidence not being coincidence. I was climbing, hiking, whatever you say, up South Sister this weekend with my son, and we made a terrible idea of it. We camped 4 miles away, further away, so we had to walk an extra 8 miles and all that sort of thing. But we were tired, we were worn out, and I drove through Bend, Oregon, and I saw Bend Osteo Strong. Now, usually I'm in the studio with lots of things, but I just turned up and I just thought, hey, let's go for it. Let's talk to these guys and see if they'll let us in. And they did. But this is like a pre-appetizer, because the owners have said they'll let me come to their location up in Portland. They have one in Portland, Eugene, and a few other places. And let me do a full interview with them with full studio lights and everything else. So this is like a taster, but Osteo Strong is making real big waves in the chiropractic community. And I was trying to interview somebody about it not too long ago, but they couldn't do it for various reasons, as you saw in the previous podcast. And this is our opportunity to start with Osteo Strong and how it can increase bone density in your patients. Bone density increasing, especially in the older population, means less fractures, less chance you're going to fracture them with an adjustment if you're not using things like the Arthur Stim. All these wonderful things, and your patients will benefit for life. And that's what we've got to be worried about, patients benefit for life. All right, guys, I'm looking forward to the Nationals. I've got lots of interviews lined up and some of the big names, and we're really going to have a great time. But first, let's talk to Clint from Osteo Strong in Bend, Oregon. It's Paul at InstantChiro, and today we're talking with Clint from Bend Osteo Strong. But first of all, an apology. I've just been climbing up South Sister and I drove past Osteo Strong and met the wonderful Clint, and so I do not look my professional self. So Clint, we're at Osteo Strong in Bend, Central Oregon. Tell us a little bit about Osteo Strong.
Osteo Strong was founded by Dr. John Jaquish. His mom got diagnosed with osteoporosis, and she was very scared. And he tried to figure out some type of way that he could help her out that wasn't the pharmaceutical drugs that most people with osteoporosis get prescribed. So he did some research, and he's a doctor, entrepreneur, scientist himself, and he created some equipment in his garage. And this equipment was designed to compress the skeletal system in a safe way, because he knew the study, the big one was of gymnasts and how they impact the ground at such a force that they have the highest bone density out of any athlete out there, which is kind of interesting. They also have the shortest careers, though, due to injuries. So they impact the ground hard, but it's not very safe for their body. So he was trying to figure out how he could emulate that impact in people and create that new bone growth in a safe way. And he did so. And he created 2 machines in his garage for his mom. And she started to reverse her osteoporosis and increase bone density through compression at the right angles. And each angle has a certain multiple of body weight that you have to compress in order to create new bone growth on the cellular level called osteogenesis. So that's kind of how this all started, and that wasn't too long ago, and it's just taken off since then.
I know, because I've been looking at, I mean, we have chiropractors over the UK that have started using Osteo Strong. We have Benny Matthews in Cardiff, and a couple of other people that I know of that are using Osteo Strong. And I think it's important to note that they've shown in studies that older people that have been weightlifting have got increased bone density, and bone density means that they don't have fractures as much. But when they're doing the traditional weightlifting, they're injuring themselves, and this gets around that, right?
Yeah, exactly that. With our machines and our technology that we have here, the person that's doing it is in complete control, right? So they're pushing out on this equipment as a tablet is showing them how many pounds of pressure they are doing, and they have to do it for 10 to 15 seconds. So they do it one time on a machine for 10 to 15 seconds, as much as they can do. And we have these little lines that are certain multiples of body weight, and if they hit these growth triggers, they create new bone growth in whatever area they are compressing.
Well, hopefully Clint's going to show us around now.
Yeah, so let's do it.
It was at this point that my sound decided to die, as Clint gave me an excellent explanation on everything that was happening and being achieved, and the sound died. And so we went through it again, but of course you missed the magic of the first time, and that's why we're going to go up to Portland and see the owners, and they're going to talk us through and we can get a more professional appraisal of Osteo Strong and how it can help us as chiropractors and our patients. But now for our second run through, here's Clint.
All right, so this is our upward growth trigger. So what we would do was you'd have your trainer, your coach with you, and they'd be guiding you along your session. And so what we do is we put you in the right angle, make sure you're safe. It's an impact emulation, so we want to put you at your strongest point, right? So when you're doing a bench press, this is your weakest point, okay? So you can only bench press as much as you can do right here. But if you put you out here, you can do a lot more weight. So we put you in the strongest position possible, so that way you can compress your skeletal system in the safest, strongest way. Okay, for this one, we want to make sure there's a straight line from our wrist to our shoulder, nice and relaxed, and we're pushing out, compressing our upper body. And you get to see the numbers rise as you're doing it. And that's it. I'm done with this one. I just did 5.5 multiples of body weight, which is well beyond the growth trigger for new bone growth on a cellular level. You can see right here, it shows my overall functional bone performance as well as my upper body. The upper is just for this one. This is the average of all 4 of our machines. You can see I've done 50 sessions, so that's quite a lot. So I should have new bone density going through my body when I do this, new bone growth on cellular level when I do this now. You can see it shows my first time on this machine, my best, my previous, and my current. So you get to watch your journey and see how much better you're doing each time you come in. These reports can get emailed to the members too. We can print them off, and it's pretty cool to see. And you can see I started my first session, this is when I interviewed for this job, was December 3rd of 2018.
And this line here, that tells you where where new bone growth, osteogenesis, is going to occur, isn't it?
For this particular upper body angle, this is the number you'd have to hit to create that new bone growth, yes.
Fantastic. And then we've got the leg press machine over here, which...
Yeah, so this is the lower growth trigger. So this is the study that they did on the gymnast hips and why gymnasts have the highest bone density out of any athlete was because they were impacting the mats on such a force. And they figured out that that force had a number to it. That if you impacted the ground at 4.2 multiples of body weight, that you could create new bone growth in your hip. And that's what was happening to these gymnasts. So that study kind of is what started this whole biohack that we call Osteo Strong. So what you would do is you'd get in the right position, right? I'm at about a 120-degree angle with my legs. I'm going to push out evenly with both my feet. I'm in total control. So if I feel any discomfort, I just back off, right? So I start pushing out. All right, the numbers shoot up. I'm past my triggers. Everything after this is just strength gain. And that's probably good. And so I weigh about $140, $142 maybe. So that's a good amount of weight to do for my lower body. So
You have two strength triggers there as well.
Yeah, we have the
bone triggers. Sorry.
we have minimum growth trigger, and then we have the rapid growth trigger.
And so things work better with the rapid growth triggers. What you?
Yes, yeah, they do.
We were talking about earlier. I actually recorded an excellent session with you earlier that we got no sound with, did we? And you were talking about how everyone that's worried mostly about the big fall when they've got osteopenia, osteoporosis, they're worried about that. And this is the one that negates that possibility as much as possible.
Yeah, well, you know, when you have porosis or penia, you're scared about every fracture. But the hip is a really scary one. So the fact that we can increase the bone density in somebody's hip and maybe potentially prevent them from a fracture, that's pretty cool.
Because the research says that in a year after you've broken your hip, you're likely to pass on if you're above a certain age, which is kind of scary. It's not just a broken hip you're worried about now. You're actually worried about life, and this is a possibility to extend your life by increasing your bone density.
Absolutely. And members come in and they are scared, and they don't want to take the pharmaceutical treatment that is suggested to them. They're open-minded to a different way that they can increase their bone density, and this is a very safe and effective way to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Clint, for sharing that. I apologise, we actually lost sound halfway through that. You gave an excellent thing and then I tied him out.
No worries.
No worries. Now, we're at Bend Osteo Strong. They're actually opening up other ones. Actually got them open in whereabouts?
Springfield, Portland, Ashland, and there's more popping up.
Eugene.
Eugene, and
Yes,
there's more
Eugene.
popping up every day.
And I think here really shows you the benefits of increasing the density of bone.
Yeah.
And that to us as chiropractors is obviously huge, and to our patients is huge. So if you've got anyone near one of these Osteo Stronglings, if you're in Bend and you're a chiropractor, send your patients here because we don't want those fractured hips. And when you're doing cross bilaterals, you don't want to be breaking those ribs either. And so, Clint, thanks again, buddy. I really appreciate
course.
it.
Nice to meet you,
And
Paul.
thanks, Osteo Strong Bend. Well, that's the end of the podcast, and it's a really short one today, and that's because I messed up, and Clint, who gave me the most excellent description ever, I just wiped his audio out by accident. I don't know how I did it, but that's worked out for us because we're going to see the owners, Anne-Marie and Lane, of Osteo Strong, Oregon, and they're going to show us around their Portland or Eugene or Springfield locations, and we're going to get a more in-depth look at how Osteo Strong works. But for right now, I'm getting excited, I'm packing because it's Florida, baby.